Hi everyone, welcome to today's video on solving equations with brackets. So today I'm going to show you how to isolate your variables and solve for them. In our first example, we have 2 times x plus 3 equals 14. So we want to isolate and solve for x. We can't get rid of this plus 3 first because this is not really a positive 3, it's really 2 times positive 3. And this is not really an x, it's a 2 times x. So to be able to isolate x, which is inside these brackets, we need to first get rid of this 2, which is being distributed to everything inside the brackets. So since we're multiplying by 2 on this side, to get rid of 2, we need to divide everything on this side by 2. But when we divide everything by 2, we change the value of this expression because we're doing something to the left side that we're not doing to the right side. So to make left side equal right side, what we have to do is divide by 2 on both sides of the equation. So whatever you do to one side, you must do to the other side to keep this balance. So these 2's would cancel out, giving us x plus 3 on the left side, and 14 divided by 2 is 7, so it would give us 7 on the right side. Now to get x by itself, we need to get rid of this positive 3, so we're adding 3 on the left side. So to get rid of that, we need to subtract 3 on the left side. But what we do to the left side, we also must do to the right side. So we're going to subtract 3 from the right side as well. So this negative 3 and the positive 3 will cancel out, giving us x. And then 7 minus 3 is 4. So our answer is x equals 4. For question 2, we have x inside the brackets on both sides of the equation. So to break down these brackets, I'm going to distribute the 3 to this one bracket and the 4 to this other bracket. And then we'll simplify later. So 3 times x gives us 3x, and 3 times 2 gives us 6. And that's going to be equal to 4 times x, which is 4x, and then 4 times negative 1, which is negative 4. So we want to get our x's on one side and our constants on the other side. I'm going to move the smaller x value to the side with the larger x value. That way our x's remain positive, so we don't have an additional step. But really it doesn't matter. So I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. So this negative 3x and positive 3x is going to cancel out. And then 4x minus 3x would give us positive x. And now I want to move over this negative 4 to the other side. So to get rid of a negative 4, I need to add 4. And what I do to the right side, I must also do to the left side. So I'm also going to add 4 on the left side. And now this negative 4 and this positive 4 will cancel out. And now in the next line, we can simplify. So 6 plus 4 gives us 10. And we have 4x minus 3x, so 4 minus 3 gives us 1. So 10 equals x, or in other words, x equals 10. And that is our final answer. For question 3, to break down these brackets, I'm going to distribute our 5 to both of the terms inside the brackets. So 5 times 2y is 5 times 2, which is 10, and then a y. And 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. And then we also have this plus 4y. And all of that equals 26. Now I'm going to gather like terms. So 10y plus 4y would give us 14y. So 14y minus 15 equals 26. Now I want my constants on one side and my variables on the other side. So I'm going to move this 15 to the other side. So since this is a negative 15, to get rid of it, we need to add 15. So we're adding 15 on the left side. But what we do to the left side, we must also do to the right side. So I'm going to also add 15 to the right side. Now this positive 15 will cancel with the negative 15. And we get 14y equals 41. Now since we're multiplying by 14 on this side, to get rid of that, we have to divide by 14. And what we do to the left side, we also have to do to the right side. So these two will cancel, and we're left with y equals 41 over 14 as our answer. So for question 4, we have to break down these brackets before we can simplify. So 1/2 times 4x is just going to be 4 divided by 2, which is 2, and then we have an x. And then 6 divided by 2 is 3, so we have that. And then we are also left with a positive 3, and all of that is equal to 5x minus 7. So this negative 3 and positive 3 will cancel, and we have 2x equals 5x minus 7. So now I'm just going to move this 5x over to the other side, and we get 2x minus 5x equals negative 7. So we have negative 3x equals negative 7. So to get x by itself, we need to divide by negative 3 on both sides, and we get x is equal to 7 over 3 as our final answer. For question 5, we have 3 times x, which gives us 3x. 3 times 2 gives us 6. Negative 2 times x gives us negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 1 gives us positive 2. And that's going to be equal to 4 times x, or 4x, and 4 times negative 3, which is negative 12, and then we're adding 1. So now I want to move my variables to one side and my constants to the other side. So I want to move my 4x over to the left, and I want to move my 6 and my 2 over to the right. When I say move over, that's essentially the same thing as adding the opposite. So moving over a 4x just means it turns into a negative 4x on the other side. But that's the same thing as subtracting 4x from both sides, because then this would cancel. So a quicker way you could do this is just by moving things over to the other side and flipping the signs. So in doing that, we have 3x minus 2x, and then this becomes a negative 4x equals negative 12 plus 1. And then this becomes a negative 6, and this becomes a negative 2. And now that we've accounted for everything, we can simplify. So negative 4x minus 2x is going to be negative 6x. Negative 6 plus 3 is going to be negative 3x. And that's going to be equal to negative 6 minus 2 is negative 8. Negative 8 minus 12 is negative 20. And negative 20 plus 1 is going to be negative 19. So now we can divide by negative 3 on both sides to isolate x, and negative divided by negative is equal to a positive, and we get positive 19 over 3. So our final answer is x equals 19 over 3. For question 6, we have some nestled brackets, so we need to distribute to the innermost brackets first and then deal with the outermost brackets later. So we have 4 times, and then 2 times z is 2z, and 2 times 3 is 6. And then negative 1 times z is negative z, and negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. And that's going to be equal to 6 times z, which is 6z, and 6 times 2, which is 12, and that's going to be minus 3. Now we can simplify further within the brackets before we distribute again. So 2z minus z is going to be z, and 6 plus 1 is going to be 7. And that's going to be equal to 6z. And then 12 minus 3 is 9. So now distributing the 4, we get 4 times z, which is 4z, and 4 times 7, which is 28. And that's going to be equal to 6z plus 9. So I'm going to move my 4z to the right and my 9 to the left. So doing that, we get negative 9 plus 28 is equal to 6z minus 4z. So that gives us 19 is equal to 2z. And to isolate z, we need to divide by 2 on both sides. So z is equal to 19 over 2. And that's our final answer. So for question 7, we have 2 over 3 times 3y. So multiplying by 3, dividing by 3, those would cancel out. So we end up with 2y. And then 2 over 3 times 9. So 9 divided by 3 is 3. So we end up with 2 times 3, which is 6. And then we have negative 1/4 times 8y. So negative times positive is going to be a negative. And then 8 divided by 4 is 2. And then we have a y. And then we have negative 1/4 times 4. So negative times positive is negative. And 4 divided by 4 is 1. And all of that is going to equal 5. So the 2y and the negative 2y will cancel out. And 6 minus 1 equals 5. So we get 5 equals 5. So when we end up in a situation like this, where we get a true statement, like a number equals the same number, or x equals x, something like that, that is true, that means that this statement is true for any value of y. So if y is 1, the statement is true. If y is 2, it's true. If it's 0.5, it's true. If it's -3, it's true. So for any real number, this statement is true. So we would write y, since that's our variable here, is a member of real numbers. So YER, and that would be our answer. For question 8, we have some nestled brackets. So I'm going to start with the innermost one here. So we have 5 times, and then 3 times 2a is going to be 6a, and 3 times -1 is going to be -3, and then we have a plus 4, and that's going to be equal to 4 times, and then 5 times a is 5a, and 5 times 2 is 10, and then we have a -3. So now I'm going to collect like terms inside the brackets, and so we have 6a, and -3 plus 4 is going to be 1. And that's going to be equal to 4 times 5a, and then 10 minus 3 is 7. Now I'm going to distribute and simplify. So 5 times 6a is going to be 30a, and 5 times 1 is 5. And that's equal to 4 times 5a, which is 20a, and 4 times 7, which is 28. Now I'm going to move this 20a over here, and my positive 5 over here. So I end up with 30a minus 20a is equal to 28 minus 5. So I end up with 10a is equal to 23. So now I need to divide by 10 on both sides, and we get a is equal to 23 over 10. And for our final question, we have a word problem. So an isosceles triangle, so that's a triangle with 2 of the same side lengths and 1 different side length. And an equilateral triangle, so a triangle with all equal side lengths, have the same perimeter. So that's the sum of all the side lengths of the triangle. Find the side lengths of each triangle. So first, let's find an equation for the perimeter of each triangle. So the perimeter for the equilateral triangle, or we'll call it PE, is going to be equal to the sum of all its side lengths. So we know the side length of this length is 4. And this line here just shows that all of these are the same side length because it's an equilateral triangle. So our perimeter is going to be 4 times 3, since we have 3 of the same side length. So our perimeter for our equilateral triangle is just going to be 12, or 12 units. Our perimeter for our isosceles triangle, or we'll call it P sub I, is going to be equal to 2 of these side lengths, since those are the same, and 1 of this side length, the different one. So we can write that as 2 times 2x plus 1 to represent 2 of that side length, and then we're going to add our remaining side length. So it says that these triangles have the same perimeter. So if they have the same perimeter, we can let these equations equal each other. So that means PI is equal to PE, or in other words, 2 times 2x plus 1 plus 4x plus 2 is equal to 12. So to solve this equation, we have 2 times 2x, which is going to give us 4x, and 2 times 1, which gives us 2. And then we're adding 4x plus 2, and all of this equals 12. So 4x plus 4x is going to give us 8x, and 2 plus 2 gives us 4, and that equals 12. So I'm going to move this 4 to the other side, so that gives us 8x equals 12 minus 4. So 8x is equal to 8, and dividing by 8 on both sides, we get x is equal to 1. But our question is not asking us what x is. Our question is asking us to find the side lengths of each triangle. We already know the side lengths of the equilateral triangle are 4, but what we don't know is the side lengths of the isosceles triangle. But now that we know what x is, if we plug that in to each of these, we can solve for each of the side lengths of the isosceles triangle. So for the first side length, we get 2 times 1 plus 1 because we're plugging in 1 instead of x. So that gives us 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3. So this side length is equal to 3. For our next side length, we have 4 times 1 plus 2. And 4 times 1 is 4 plus 2 is 6. So this side length is 6. And now we can end with the therefore statement. Therefore, the side lengths of the equilateral triangle are all 4 units, and the side lengths of the isosceles triangle are 3, 3, and 6 units in length. And that is our last question, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please leave a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video.